Welcome everyone, to everybody in the audience that's slowly trickling in. Take your time, we won't start right away. Just gonna get set up, share screen. Welcome to the Bachelor of Technology presentation as part of the Faculty Showcase at McMaster. My name is Lindsay Bowen. I'm the Director of Outreach and Engagement for the Faculty of Engineering. And Dr. Danson Tia, who is the Associate Professor and Associate Director undergraduate for the Bachelor of Technology programs, will be leading most of this presentation. I'll join you a little bit later on to answer some questions about admissions and extracurriculars. And then there hopefully will be time as well at the end to answer some questions that might come up through the Q&A. We will also be answering questions through the Q&A by text throughout the presentation. So please feel free to use that feature of the Zoom webinar. All right, and I will hand it off to Dr. Cynthia.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to McMaster, a very green place, a place to learn, a place to enjoy life, and a place to do walks around the Coutts Paradise. It's a fantastic place for your university years, and I hope that you'll come here. Now, my role here is to let you know what is special about McMaster, and I'll give you something about the Bachelor of Technology program, which is specially made for students coming from high school. Why McMaster? Well, McMaster, first of all, is located in the South Central Ontario and has three, actually more, extremely important features. First of all, it's the most research-intensive university in Canada in the last 5 or 6 years. This tells you something because universities are normally renowned for two things, for research and for teaching. And then it is the first one in terms of the research and about teaching. Last year, we didn't put it here because it was my pleasure to let you know. We get that we are the first place in the world into a competition about teaching overall in the world. So extremely good accomplishment for McMaster. Is something that you might want to put in your resume after graduating McMaster, saying that I've finished in a fantastic place that is ranked very high in the world. In terms of the university in the world, we are in the top 80. I think last year we were somewhere at 67, but we were constantly below 80 in the last years. And we are again #1 in Canada for a global impact. I think it's important to know. Now we're looking at not only at education research, but looking at doing impact to the society. In terms of the overall McMaster engineering, there are 4 major areas that students really think about it. It's the engineering part, which is the largest of all. We talk about 1,000 students. And then we have the iBiomed and the computer science and BTech program. I will concentrate my talk today about the BTech program. If you want to find more information about the other streams, you can ask the people who are managing the chat. So, Bachelor of Technology. Why Bachelor of Technology? Well, first of all, it's an important part because it's a partnership with Mohawk College. A partnership with Mohawk College gives us incredible advantages. And probably the most advantage is the fact that colleges generally get a lot of money from the government to develop state-of-the-art labs, and they do. We universities do not have so much money for labs, for undergraduate labs. So this partnership between McMaster and Mohawk allows us to go to Mohawk and to use their facilities, which are updated every 2 or 3 years. Something, again, we will not be able to do here. In terms of coming to the Bachelor of Technology program, there are 3 direct entry. You will apply directly to the OAC, and then you apply to one of the 3 programs, which I will talk about them a little later, most related to automotive, automation, and biotechnologies. McMaster, or engineering, I would say, it's a practice-based university, and our programs are very much practice-based. What it means is that on top of the theory which we provide, which are mostly fundamentals, we try to explain for most of the courses we do, why do we need the theory and how to apply the theory. We do, as you see later, a large number of labs. we do co-op employment, we do a lot of work with companies which are coming to give us lecture notes and lectures and open lectures, so that we are very much connected to industry. And this connected to industry, it's important because the program have been developed in cooperation with industry for a clear purpose. We want our graduates to be ready for employment in the moment when they graduate, not 6 months later. Why do we care? Well, the answer is very simple. In the moment when many people graduate, then it will be really a large number of people which apply for different jobs. In the moment when you have the knowledge which is required in the industry, then you have a clear advantage comparing with other programs. And how do you have this knowledge? Well, we have something called advisory committees, which are usually high-level people in industry, and they tell us what they think will happen by the time you graduate. So in about 5 years from the graduation time. So we are able to change the courses and adapt the courses accordingly to be able to be ready for industry. So we're combining everything we do here in 3 ways. We're doing the theory, we're doing practice with a number of labs and again, industry, but also with a lot of experience that can be obtained in different applications. Now, normal engineering programs are eligible to apply, the graduates are eligible to apply to become professional engineers. In the Bachelor of Technology programs, depending on which program you are able to apply and write a number of exams. We call them technical exams, and this number depends on the program. However, after passing those exams, you will have exactly the same credentials as a student who graduated engineering. It means you can start with something called engineering and training and become a fully licensed professional engineer. We have 3 programs. One program is called Automotive and Vehicle Technology. One program is called Automation Engineering Technology, and one program is called Biotechnology. The order in which I wrote them, it's purely alphabetical. I hope I'm not doing something wrong here. So there is no difference. Their students are welcome, and every single of those 3 programs have their own accomplishments, and they have their own areas of expertise by the time the students graduate. If you think about what will you ultimately get by the time you graduate, you'll see that on top of the knowledge that will provide you and the skills that you'll learn here, you'll get a Bachelor of Technology degree. It's a full university degree. You can use this degree to go to any university to start doing graduate studies if you're interested into, or you go to any kind of company and you'll be considered as having a university degree. However, on top of this university degree, our graduates will also get an advanced diploma from our partner Mohawk College. We'll also get a business certificate from Mohawk College, and we'll get a 12-month of co-op experience. Co-op. Why do you even care about co-op? Probably your parents understand more about co-op than you do. However, believe me, it's something which is vital when normally the employers are looking for fresh graduates. I spoke with many employers, and they're saying that when they have huge piles, their first selection is to put separately the students who finished co-op during university. So on top of learning what it is in industry, you'll also learn if it's something you like or something you don't like. So the fact that you have already worked as a full employee, paid employee in industry, together with the 3 documents which are written here, I think you'll have a fully fledged reason to come to the BTech and enroll in any of those 3 programs. So the main reasons that you'll be here will be written maybe as a summary is that a program is industry driven, means that you'll know more than anyone what's happening in industry by the time you graduate. We're having small class sizes. We talk about somewhere between 40, 60, 80 students. In special cases, we can go to 120, but never to 600 or 1,000 or 2,000, what we'll see in other larger universities. Comparing with the normal engineering program in other universities that discuss about, I would say, about 200 hours of labs into 4 years, the BTech programs have 750 hours of labs. This will give you, first, the practical knowledge that we just discussed, will give you experience on working with equipment, will give you programs, will give you problem-solving skills, and will probably will not hit your left foot with a right foot when you have to go and do something practical. On top of all those elements, which are mostly technical, our programs also includes 25% of business, management, and finance courses. This is a very important part because whoever wants to work and do lately something which related to business or to do and enroll into an MBA, a Master of Business Administration, or purely also have jobs which are not purely technical, these business and management courses will help you with this. Now, there's not enough name, you notice the long name, business and management, but one of an important part that it's included here in those courses are related to sustainability. We will teach you how to think about the nature, how to think about the soil in which you are will live on, and how to think about the people living around us. And furthermore, this course is also includes an important part, which is entrepreneurship. We'll teach you how to make your own company, which are the pitfalls, the challenges, and the advantage of having your own company. Lately, we discussed about the state of the start art labs. Some of them are at Mohawk College, but some of them we tried, and with their help, we replicated here at the McMaster campus or at a different campus. Let's talk about campuses. So first, we'll talk about the McMaster main campus. We're located in a nice glass building, which is located at the entrance of the main entrance of McMaster University, in which we have special labs for all the 3 programs. We have private study rooms for the students that they can really rent free. They can have them for a number of hours, and the classrooms are limited to maximum 80 people. Another important location is what we call it the MARC, which is the McMaster Automotive Resource Center. It is located at about 15 minutes walking from McMaster, or about 5 minutes drive, in which 2 minutes by bus and about 3 minutes walking. Don't worry about prices for the bus. Your tuition includes a free bus for the entire university during September, all the way September to the April. So I personally prefer to walk. I'm more a green person. I don't see too much green, just apartment buildings, but you can have some fresh air going to MARC. Now, what we have at MARC, on top of this specialized lab, which includes, as you see here, equipment for fluid mechanics, for vehicle dynamics. We have here some vehicles which are made for you to convert to hybrid vehicles. We have on the back some devices to raise a car and then to work below the car. So a lot of experience. On top of this, we have classrooms and a lounge and kitchen for whoever has breaks between classes and want to eat something or just enjoy the break. At Mohawk, we're normally going to the Fennell campus, which is located at about, I would say, 10 minutes drive from McMaster. We have also parking agreements with with McMaster, usually up to last year. We don't know what's happening this year because of the COVID, but up to last year, the students who used to pay parking at McMaster get automatically parking also at McMaster at Mohawk campus. And at Mohawk, we have those astonishing labs related to bioreactors, related to something like programmable logic controllers, which are everywhere in the industry where automation is needed. We have robots, and then we have one of the best robots, which is Fanuc robots. And we have a lot of instrumentation which is related to or process automation. Now let's look at each of those three programs and figure out roughly what is included, which are the main areas that each program includes. And I'll start with the automotive. You see here on the left-hand side, 6 courses that you will take. Now, don't be so happy you'll take more than 6 courses in the university. Generally, every student will have to take 6 courses every semester. So 12 courses per year, with the exception of the first year when there are only 10 courses. And those are some of the courses which are specialized, and many of the outcomes and learning outcomes of those courses will be extremely useful for your career. Overall, as you notice, the program has about 25% a mechanical component, about 20% automotive component, which is also a mechanical component, but applied to vehicles. And you also have a part which is related to automation, which is mechatronics, that combine mechanical, electronics, and control. On top of this part, which is typical for every single of the 3 BTech programs, we have 25% management, business, entrepreneurship, sustainability elements. And we have also in the first 2 years, what you call engineering foundations, which means physics, chemistry, mathematics, about 4 or 5 mathematics courses. Yeah, 5 math, it's tough. And we have programming courses now, usually about 2 programming courses. So a lot of engineer foundation that we provide you in the first 2 years, so that you can have the foundations for the specialized courses. Looking at the other program, which is the automation engineering technology, you notice that the management and the foundation are the same. But now there is an electrical and computer. It's about 25%. Automation has a percentage, and really, I don't want to offend you. You to read you all those numbers here. So automation is about this value, and chemical it's about this value into the overall program. And those are some typical courses that are offered in the automation program. Now, what is really specific and exists only here in the automation program is the fact that in the last 3 semesters, the student can opt to 2 options. One option, we call them streams. So they can go to the so-called smart systems stream, or students can choose to go to the industrial automation stream. Usually the smart system stream is new. It's only about 2 or 3 years old, and the number of seats are limited. But based on what we see the students prefer, we can change this cap at any time. The third program that we have here, it's called biotechnology. So this biotechnology, again, you notice the same part, but their main focus is biochemical. It's purely chemical and also biomedical. And you see on the left here a list of some courses which are offered in the biotechnology program. And those are very specific to the types of industries that the bio students will go to. They will probably go into pharma, they go into food industry, they go to biomaterials industry, and they go into health. We have also students going into the Big pharma industry. I said about pharma, but it can also be small pharma companies. And we'll give you some examples. I'll show you some examples of companies where our graduates are working right now. In terms of the business management part, you notice here what I told you about entrepreneurial thinking, innovation, how to teach this to you, and then how to look at sustainability part. Technical communication, it's something which we realize is extremely important. So the first year courses in business management are mostly related to communication. And again, you'll see here some other management type of courses, which will help you a lot, especially in the first years after graduation and in the co-op. Now, if we look at how the first year is designed, you see that there are some common courses for all the three programs that includes physics, chemistry, 2 math, a communication, and a business and an electronics course. However, each of those programs will have 2 of the following: programming, C++ for 2 of them, and Python for another one. You notice that analytical chemistry, it's only for automation and for the bio. Object-oriented programming, it's only for the automation and automotive. So overall, this first year will end up with 10 courses, some common with everyone, and some specific for your program. Overall, if you think about what's happening after graduation, I can give you those numbers, and don't let me know that those numbers do not add to 100. I know this, but immediately after graduation, about 18% of the students decide to continue and do grad studies. They go to master's programs, they go to PhDs, and some of them will go to do Master of Business Administration. So they choose other technical or business related types of education in terms of graduate education. Most of those will go and work industry. So overall, in terms of employment after some years, after the graduation time and the graduation time, we'll notice that about 94% of our students ultimately work in industry. And again, although some of those will work also in their own companies, about 8%, even some of those are founders or CEOs of other companies. Now, in terms of the job title, they vary very much, but about 30% of the graduates of our programs have the word engineer in their job title. Now, in order to go to PEng, you normally have to write a number of exams. Again, the number of exams will end up with something which is very important. So write the exams and do something called engineering in practice. But not everyone is interested into becoming a professional engineer. We notice in time the students who are working in the bio field are not interested. Their industry do not require them to become professional engineers. However, whoever wants to become professional engineer, and then whoever wants to be seen by others as an engineer, there is something which is an important part. It's only valid in Ontario, and it is called the Kipling ceremony, in which the student gets something called an iron ring. So as you see here, that ring that you see on the picture is the iron ring, and the graduates of whoever is become a professional engineer, in the moment when they finish all the exams, all the equivalent exams, they are ready to apply and they will get this iron ring. It's really very important, and people wear them with pride. Speaking with some colleagues from the US, they say, oh, it's a pity we do not have something similar in the US, because in Canada, if someone is professional engineer, so then you can see from their iron ring that he or she is considered to be a professional engineer. We have some examples of alumni. One example is Michael Koss. So Mitchell Koss He's an automotive guy. On top of flying his plane since high school, he is now working at Tesla. He's associate manager, and he's a very much supporter of our program. He is very strong relations between Tesla and McMaster is done through Mitch. We also have Adriana Perry. Adriana is a graduate of 2015. So she is working in at Estee Lauder companies, a senior scientist. She's sometimes coming and talking to the bio students and tell them which are the advantages of enrolling into a program like biotechnology. Similar, Mitch will also try to give meetings with their graduates and tell them how good Tesla really is. Now, there is also something that you must be aware, which is not necessarily related to you. The Bachelor of Technology program also includes something called a degree completion programs. And those are related into 4 different fields related to civil engineering, technology, manufacturing, edge technology, power and energy, and software. To get into those programs, usually the way to do it is to go to a college and get an advanced diploma. Means you have to get the term advanced diploma that represents 3 years of education. And then after 3 years of education in some fields, you get 2 years, and you only take 2 more years at McMaster. Those are all evening courses. And after having those courses, the graduates will still end up with exactly the same degree as before, which is the McMaster Bachelor of Technology degree. Overall, those students are have to take 24 courses, and they will end up with, again, the degree into 2 years. Co-op, it's really important because students have access to co-op. We have outstanding co-op facilities here. And when I say facilities, they are facilities in which we have people employed and are able to help you find co-ops. We have a large number of companies. We have a specialized software. Companies come and post positions, co-op positions. Students apply, and our specialists are helping our graduates to prepare their resumes, to enhance the skills, to tell them exactly how to prepare them better for a co-op employment. But make clear you understand, we do not provide co-ops. We are just doing the connection between the students and the employers. The finding co-ops is really an interview between the company and then the employer. Sometimes it's complex. It's end up with matching. You might choose 2 or 3 companies. Companies are choosing 2 or 3 students, and there is a matching. It's not easy, but overall, a large number of graduates ultimately end up with finishing the co-op into their time. And when I'm talking about the time, you notice that the program is a 4-year program, but it takes 4 years and a term. So the physical time when our graduates end up their studies is after 4 years and a term, means in December after 4 years and a third. And the co-op requirements is to go in co-op for 3 terms. And there are 5 possibilities to go in those terms. Although the co-op opportunities the first year are very low, majority of the people going in co-op in the first year are going because they have family connections. But starting with the second year and mostly the third year, the students get our help to find not employment, but employment opportunities. We offer opportunities. We do not offer jobs, job opportunities. But what's really specific about the co-op is those 2 terms together. Most of the students in engineering programs in Ontario, they go in co-op in the summer. And as you see, every summer it's allocated for co-op. However, the BTech have something special in which the co-op can start in January in the third year. This is a big advantage because many companies want to also have students staying longer in co-op. So whoever starts co-op here, it's a much, much lower competition with other students. And then companies want to keep them for a length of 8 months. If someone wants to find and finds at a given time a co-op which is even longer and he or she wants to save it for a year, we have the possibility to extend this co-op to up to 16 months, although only 12 months are required for the graduation. But those students will have much more co-op experience during school, but will not finish with their cohort. In terms of support staff, we have a large number of full-time staff. We have 12 TAs, we have 15 co-op ambassadors. Be aware that we are very much proud. We have national award winners. We have people which are educators, not advisors. And you see here from the point of the career, we have a lot of one-to-one appointments every year, and it's more than 1,000 of those appointments every year. And they help you with a success into going into resume and how this resume and how the co-op opportunities will help you in life. So this is a list of, let's go faster. This is a list of the companies where our graduates work. You notice that in different fields, you see the big players. You look at, at the Tesla. You look at the Roche in terms of bio. You see like L3 Westcam for automation. And again, I don't want to spend too much time. My colleagues also need to present their part. But if you look around, you'll see a lot of companies which are very much the dream job for many of our graduates. In terms of the co-op statistics, you see that about 80% of the internationally choose students which are in engineering, which are generally in engineering, not only in BTech, they choose to go to co-op. In BTech, it's mandatory to have co-op. And again, we have, as you see here, a lot of employers who say that, after hiring one McMaster student, they will also hire another McMaster student. So this is everything from my end. It was a pleasure giving you some insights about the BTech program. I would now ask Lindsay to continue our presentation.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dan. All right, so I already introduced myself earlier, but for those of you who might have joined late, my name is Lindsay Bullen. I'm the Director of Outreach and Engagement for the Faculty of Engineering. I'm going to touch a little bit on admissions applications, scholarship applications, and a couple of other topics as well that you might be interested in. So starting with admissions and applications, what does it take to get into the Bachelor of Technology program from high school? The courses we look at include English 4U, Calculus 4U, Chemistry 4U, and Physics 4U. We also look at 2 other grade 12 U or M courses. We will automatically select your 2 other U or M courses with the highest grades to factor into the 6-course average. The minimum cutoff that we look for is an 80%. Of course, that is not necessarily a competitive cutoff. We suggest at least 2 to 3% higher in order to have a competitive cutoff. That said, it is hypothetically possible to get in with an 80% or higher. Admission is by selection, which means there is a supplementary application required, and we look at both the supplementary application as well as your grades in order to assess you for an offer of admission. So what is the supplementary application? This is the mandatory component of the application to all McMaster engineering programs. It's an opportunity to let us meet you, to ask you questions, to assess your communications, problem solving, logic, and reasoning. And it takes about 20 minutes in length to complete. There's just one application for all Faculty of Engineering programs. So if you apply to computer science and BTech or BTech and engineering, you would only have to complete one supplementary application, and we'll use that same application for all of our programs. The supplementary application consists of 3 video responses. So that's a video of a student presenting a response and then, or presenting a question to you. You then have 2 minutes to answer, or 1 minute to prepare, sorry, and 2 minutes to answer. So that happens 3 times with 3 different questions. There's then 1 written response where you will have 10 minutes to answer. Some sample practice questions for the video include: what does resourceful mean to you and why is it important? Tell us about a time management strategy you used. Why does it work? What circumstances make it okay to take risks versus playing it safe? Please explain your opinion in detail. Again, these are just examples, not the real thing. The good thing about the supplementary application is once you have access, and we'll be opening access for this cycle of applicants very soon, sometime in the next week or 2 at the latest, you have unlimited practice sessions. So you can go through the process and be given all the practice questions. You'll get different practice questions. Sometimes you'll get the same one, but it's really an opportunity for you to get used to the rhythm of being asked a question, answering it by video, and then moving on to the next one. You can do this an unlimited amount of times up until the deadline to submit your actual application. And we'll give you instructions. There's a video instruction as well on how to go about doing the practice questions, as well as how to move on once you're ready to move on to the real assessment. So separately from the admissions process, there's also an application for our scholarships. Scholarship applications are completely optional, and they're completed on a system called AwardSpring. So once you apply to McMaster, you'll be given access to AwardSpring. You'll use the same logins that you'll use to access the admissions portal to check your status. And the scholarship application, again, there's just 1 scholarship application for all of our Faculty of Engineering scholarships, and we'll assess you for everything that's available. So this includes some of our specialized scholarships for FIRST Robotics alumni or students who were involved in FIRST Robotics. We have $10,000, $15,000 scholarships just for FIRST Robotics alumni. We have scholarships for students involved in DECA, business competition, as well as scholarships for students who might have been involved in SHAD or have expressed any leadership or community involvement during their high school years. So it's really simple. All you have to do is tell us about your awards, your extracurriculars, and your accomplishments. You have to answer 3 short questions in the application and upload 2 letters of reference. And if you are indicating that you have involvement in one of our specialized scholarships for FIRST Robotics or SHAD or DECA, you do need one of those references to verify that involvement. The cool thing about the scholarships is that it's rewarding you for academic achievement and leadership, and it also gives you a head start on your co-op work experience. All of our scholarships that are by application include an Engineering Research Experience Award that's valued at $6,000. So basically a research experience or a position with a startup for the summer after your first year that will help you to find. It's basically guaranteed. You do have to put together your resume and apply for positions, but we will make sure you find something. So that is definitely something I encourage everybody to do. At McMaster, we have such an extensive scholarship program, partly because we really value what you've done in high school. We value everything that you've done, not just in the classroom, but as part of your volunteer work or leadership or extracurricular or even sports and music. At McMaster, we have something, our promise to you, which is that you're going to get a degree plus an experience. So you will define your experience, but we are here the whole way to help you get there. And what might that experience look like? Well, it might involve co-op. In BTech, it definitely involves co-op because it's mandatory. It might involve opportunities to have a social impact through programs like our Mac Changers program. It might involve opportunities to be innovative. So to work with or even start your own company, working with The Forge, which is our on-campus incubator. It definitely, almost always involves involvement in clubs and teams. I'd say the vast majority of our students are involved in at least one club or team over the course of their time at McMaster. It often involves research. As I mentioned, we do give out research experience awards alongside scholarships. We have the largest undergraduate research program of any Canadian university. And hopefully it involves having a balanced life. We recognize that there's much more than just academics and classroom experiences, and that you'll be a happier and more successful student if you're balanced inside and outside of the classroom. So what might this actually look like? Here are 2 examples. So the first is Josh. Josh, has done an extensive amount of co-ops, one of which was at the Learning Factory, which is one of our labs on campus with the BTech program. He's an academic coach. He's one of our BTech student ambassadors. and so much more. Linnea, she is involved in Women in Engineering. She plays guitar on the side, and she was also on the varsity squash team as well. So she's really all about finding your balance. I mentioned, opportunities to get involved in clubs and teams, and this includes more than 70 Faculty of Engineering affiliated ones. Some non-technical clubs and teams like MacEng Musical, EngiQueers, Women in Engineering, the National Society for Black Engineers, and more, as well as some technical clubs and teams. There's the Artificial Intelligence Society, MERGE, which is like an anti-gravitational experiment team, SumoBots, Mars Rover is the one picture you see there, Baja Racing, the dune buggy picture. Honestly, there's so many different opportunities to be involved, and it's really a dream, especially for our automotive and vehicle technology students who really just want to get their hands dirty with some real life experiments and labs and opportunities to test drive literally vehicles in competition, either in Canada as well as internationally. And of course, there's the Bachelor of Technology Association, which is the student group representing the Bachelor of Technology students. They advocate for their community to their program, they're also one of the main conduits to the McMaster Engineering Society, which is the overall student society for undergraduate students within the Faculty of Engineering. One thing I did want to mention, one of the ways that we encourage you to have a balanced life starts off right away. Before you even begin in your university program, we offer something called EMBER, which stands for Engineering Mentorship and Bridging Education Resources. This is a pre-university program preparation program. It's 100% free, totally optional. It's 3 weeks in length if you want it to be. It involves online learning modules in math, physics, chemistry, and computing, and you can pick and choose which modules you want to take part in. There's both asynchronous as well as synchronous and live content and live support in the form of faculty members and teaching assistants. There's also social opportunities to connect with your classmates or future classmates, to learn about clubs and teams, and even to participate in things like hackathons before you even start school. And this is like pre-welcome week. So it's been really successful. We started it 2 years ago at the start of the pandemic. We wanted to make sure students felt okay going into their first year of a totally virtual year. And then we continued it this year, and we have plans to continue going forward, whether or not we're in person, which hopefully we will be for fall 2022. But this program will continue to be virtual either way, so that it's accessible to the maximum amount of students. And lastly, I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware that next weekend, actually this weekend, sorry, Saturday, November 13th, we are hosting the Ultimate MacEng Hangout. So this is one of the best opportunities to meet with current students in the Bachelor of Technology program. So this is for the entire Faculty of Engineering. We'll be hosting some live sessions on co-op, on the first year student experience, on clubs and teams, and there'll also be different booths for each of the programs where you can talk to students from your desired program one-on-one. So definitely register. We'll throw the link in the chat. It's also on our website. And I will accept any questions you have in the Q&A, but if you're not ready to ask your questions, always the best place to send them is to our general inbox, which is thinkeng@mcmaster.ca. You can also connect with any of our student ambassadors if you're not able to make it to the event this Saturday through our Unibuddy platform, which is a cool one-to-one asynchronous kind of chat platform where you can ask all your questions to students. So we really hope to see you this weekend. If not, again, feel free to send us an email if you have any questions about admissions, or programs, or applications, and I invite you to connect with our students through Unibuddy as well. And I think we still have a few more minutes. So if anybody has any questions, please put them in the Q&A and we would be happy to answer them live. I'll stop sharing my screen for now and just check to see if there are any questions. Looks like there's quite a few that were answered already. Some about opportunities to work in aerospace, which is certainly an option. Competitive averages, which I think we answered, and professional engineering licensing. Perfect. All right. If there's any other questions, please feel free to pop them in If not, it was a pleasure hosting you today, and we hope to see you at the live virtual event on Saturday. Thank you, everybody. Oh, we see one question. Oh, we have two questions. Okay, we'll stay on and answer. Perfect. So we have a question about the average mark to attend university in the major of computer engineering. Okay, so computer engineering would be a program that you would enter through our general engineering 1 first year. And so to get into engineering 1, you would need those same required grade 12 courses. So English, physics, chemistry, and calculus. You would need a minimum 87% admission average to get into engineering 1, and along with a supplementary application. At the end of your first year, that's when you would decide which program you want to do for second year. And it is competitive at that point for our engineering students. So you would rank the programs that you want for your second year and beyond. If computer engineering was your first choice, then that's the one you would be assessed for first. And it would be based on your first year GPA, unless you happen to have free choice at the time of admission. Free choice is given to about the top 25% of our applicants, and is typically mid to high 90s required for free choice. So I hope that answers your question. Feel free to email us at thinkeng@mcmaster.ca. The question about which engineering deals with robotics. In engineering, it would be mostly mechatronics engineering. In the Bachelor of Technology program, it could be either the automotive and vehicle technology, engineering technology program, or the automation engineering technology program. Dan, would you, or Dr. Centilla, would you say which one is?
Exactly you. The answer is exactly what is correct. Furthermore, because I just told you in my presentation that we work at Mohawk with something called the Fanuc robots, because there's a number of hours that the students are expected to work on those Fanucs. They will also get a kind of a certificate from the Fanuc that they are now experienced in using the Fanuc robots. But definitely the programs, the BTech program that have the most components into robotics are the automation, and there is also something in the automotive, but automation by far has the most robotics of all.
Great, thank you. There's a question as well about the supplementary application. So the supplementary application is a required component for admission, and I'm going to put a link in the chat that really has a ton of information about the supplementary application. So both tips on best what to do and how to answer questions, what to wear even, as well as some more practice questions in there. So the supplementary application I mentioned is really a chance for us to get to know you. It's an assessment of your communication skills and logic and reasoning. So it's just a series of questions that you would answer. You would answer them all in one sitting. So I mentioned you have unlimited practice times. So you can go in and practice and practice and practice for months up until the deadline. The deadline isn't at the end of January. Really, when you are ready to do the real assessment, you do have to do it all at once. So you are given, 3 prescribed video questions and then 1 written question in sequence, and you're expected to do them all in one sitting, and it would take about 20 minutes. So I think that answers the question, I hope, about supplementary application. My tip there is to use examples from your real life, from clubs and teams or extracurriculars, to kind of illustrate what you're speaking about, to speak clearly and slowly and with confidence. Don't stress out too much about it. You don't need to wear a suit and tie or anything like that, but change out of your pajamas and be in a well-lit room without any distractions. That's always the best course of action.
I can answer the question related to the difference between automation and automotive programs. When you think about the programs, a lot of the courses are similar. Probably the first 2 years are very similar courses, but then if you think about the types of programs, the automotive is more a kind of applied mechanical program, which is applied especially to automotive field. At the same time, the automation program is more a program related more to electrical engineering and to control engineering, much more computers, only because the automation are working with much wider fields. They can go automation into food industry, into parking, into everywhere. So although this the automotive are going not only to the automotive big companies, they're also producers. A lot of the graduates are going to be designers, engineer designers, but I have to admit that there are many graduates of the automotive program that will choose ultimately the automation type of jobs, and the other way. Now, many of the automation will think to go into applying automation into the automotive industry. Now, it's so tough. Now, when you think about nature and we try to separate physics and chemistry and teach them as separate entities. It's the same word, it's the same nature. We just try to look what's specific between them. That's exactly the same with the automation and automotive. We see them as different entity, but ultimately they are very, very much now interconnected and interrelated. And the students know nowadays with so much interest into the automotive industry here in Ontario, there are students who are graduating from a lot of engineering programs and for the automation who go into the automotive related fields. And the other way, automotive industry nowadays without automation cannot exist. So there'll be a lot of automation related jobs in the automotive industry. So very much interconnected. I would say that if you apply for a certain job and then with the same degree, if you have automation or automotive, you'll probably have the same chances to get your job, but it's based mostly on your experience. So we'll teach you that in order to find a job, it's a good idea to have a portfolio that will let you know, will present the possible employer what have you done, some accomplishments, some drawings, some exercises, something you've done in your backyard, something you've done in the garage. You just destroyed your car, maybe repaired your car. You just did your own bike or changed your bike. No, those are something that everybody in terms of finding jobs are looking for. And the portfolio will also have a list of the companies where you worked. So practically people who work look at what you know and how they can fill a job position with your knowledge and skills. That's what I'm looking for. They're not looking for like, I only want automotive or engineer or pre-engineers or other jobs. So it's important what you know. It's not important what paper you have in your pocket.
Perfect. Dr. Satia, did you also want to answer the question about automation and whether there's a large focus on programming?
I can answer. In terms of, just to give you a difference between ideas. So the automotive program, they mostly learn initially C++ programming. And later when you do programming, they also learn how to program machine tools. And they will also learn how to program Arduinos and any kind of microcontrollers. And there is a course in which is practically programming a lot of electronic components. They will learn how to program something called PLCs, programmable logic controllers. So there is a lot of programming language which is used in the automotive. Automation has everything you've heard, but they have more experience into other parts which are related mostly to automation, like different types of programmable logical controllers. There are different type of controllers and they have different languages. So to answer your question, there are a lot of elements which need programming in both the automotive and automation program, but the automation has more need for programming than the automotive. So yes, there is definitely a need for programming. I would not say a focus. I would say that it's a skill that doesn't matter if it's during university or it's after graduation, a skill that it will be a pity not to have. You'll lose jobs, opportunities if you do not know programming in any field related to automotive or to automation.
Great. There's a couple of questions as well, and since we still have a few people listening in, I thought maybe we could touch on it again about aerospace engineering and which BTech program might be best suited for students who are interested in aerospace engineering, and if that is a possible pathway.
So the automotive program, it's probably the best approach. If you think about the Society of Automotive Engineers, the American Society of Automotive Engineers, which is the largest society in the world in automotive, includes automotive and aerospace engineers. So they are so much interconnected that it's also related to a transportation. It's a transportation on the ground or transportation in the air. Of course, we do not teach elements which are related strictly to aerospace. We teach elements which are related to the transportation, but we apply general transportation to the ground transportation. So some parts are common. Many elements can be applied to both of them. But to answer the question, which program will be the most appropriate, definitely the automotive program is the nearest program, which is in a way related to the aerospace or industry.
Awesome, fantastic. All right, I think we have answered all of the questions. Thank you everyone again for coming. Thank you, Dr. Santia, for all of this amazing information. And we hope to see you at the event on Saturday. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for coming.